Alright, we covered the pilot, now we get to do Steven and the Stevens. I remember this episode being nuts. Like, the pilot was easy to follow, but this one is just all over the place. Even though the plots of the two episodes are totally different, they both have time travel. I'll get to talk about parallels and differences between the two. Right off the bat, the time thing has a slightly different design from the pilot. Mainly, it has this gold ring around.
Hey, how about this one here?
What one?
This little one. It's adorable.
Adorable, like because it's an orb? An orb like a sphere? This scene is also begging me to pause and analyze every single one of these hourglasses, and I'd love to, there are some really crazy ones. But I'll be here for like an hour just talking about different designs. They don't ever come up again, so I have to stop myself by saying it's not important enough to talk about for too long. I should use this time to mention that I've been doing discussion streams for each episode during the weekends. So if you do want to hear me talk about hourglasses for 3 hours, that's where I'd be doing it. I love the aesthetic of this underwater shrine. It's a damn shame that it never appears again. There's a lot of gem locations that I could say the same about. Notice how it's designed like a cathedral. It's in the shape of a cross. I don't think that implies anything, it's just a cool symmetrical design. Is it just me, or is Garnet's hair extra big in this shot? Maybe it is just me coming off the pilot with small hair Garnet.
Hey guys, I'm making the call, and it's this janky one here.
I have to appreciate the use of the word janky. Not a word you hear often, but a good one. A versatile one. It's janky, of course it is. The fact that this structure destroys itself when someone touches the wrong hourglass and then rebuilds itself after 100 years is either really stupid or the beginning of some complex unexplored headcanon of mine. Thinking about how it was built thousands of years before any sort of colony was established on Earth to hide the time thing. I'm not making a point, I'm just thinking out loud.
My name's Steven. You're gonna live with me.
God, Steven needs some friends or a pet. He needs something to talk to other than himself and inanimate objects. This is the first time in the show that Garnet shapeshifts. We always see Amethyst shapeshift into more cohesive objects or characters, but Garnet uses it purely as utility here, just to make her arm bigger.
Beachapalooza!
Very convenient timing for Steven to get back within a minute of his alarm going off. If Amethyst didn't trigger that Indiana Jones trap, they would have gotten back later and he would have missed the alarm. I also have to point out that using an alarm or a timer or whatever is kind of a lazy way to push the plot forward. It kind of leans into that show don't tell rule of thumb. The alarm goes off and Steven gets to tell the audience why the alarm went off, instead of having something interesting happen to remind him. Maybe if the room was still flooded, his ukulele could have floated by. I just see these missed opportunities for creativity and feel like it's my duty to imagine a better version.
I'll see you later. After you, sir.
Trailer line, there's another one.
Is it stuck?
Yeah.
Why does a boat need a car wash?
First of all, Steven, stop stealing my lines. Second, did you know Greg and Yellowtail share a voice actor? Not that Yellowtail has much to say, but he needs a voice.
You're bailing on Beachapalooza? But the whole town's gonna be there.
Steven, that's like 15 people.
I've heard this quote cited a lot when discussing Beach City, but 15 is not entirely accurate. I'd have to guess it's at least 20, maybe 25. I'll try to keep tabs on how many characters actually live here. I'd like to find a definitive answer to that question.
Wish I could have been there to tell my dad you were too fat!
I never got this when media does teleportation. When the time thing teleports him, why does it decide to bring his clothes and ukulele, but not his helmet and scooter? Like, he was wearing the helmet arguably more than he's wearing the ukulele. Sometimes this show has magic stuff that's completely arbitrary. That's fine, but this kind of thing happens so often in other media that it bugs the hell out of me. I notice it constantly. Also, big difference with the time thing here versus the pilot. It teleports the user across time and space. In the pilot, it just rewound time but let Steven keep his memories, and the donuts for some reason. The time thing in this episode teleports Steven around all over the place. He wasn't here for the boat incident, but the time thing put him here anyway. Like I said in the pilot, this is more like a magic wishing device, but it makes you carry out your own wishes. That's a cool concept, but I do prefer the pilot version more. The limitations make it seem more creative. How did the boat start moving here? Rather, why wasn't it moving before? Was Yellowtail holding the brake with his foot in this weird position, or was it just his sheer strength?
Gotta save the van!
Greg's got his priorities in order. It is the coolest van in all of cartoons, after all. Another discrepancy between the two time things, this one creates alternate timelines with alternate Stevens, where the other one in the pilot just rewinds one timeline. At least I think it does.
We can't go around trying to change time stuff. It just makes things worse.
I mean, there was a way to stop both problems from happening, right? If the episode took that route, I think it would just turn into Groundhog Day, or that episode of Rick and Morty where they keep spawning more Meeseeks to accomplish a single task. I bet you could wash that boat with like 10 Stevens.
Steven?
This episode's gonna get obnoxious. Also, if the Stevens point of view rule is still in effect, which Steven does it apply to? Or does it apply to any Steven? Or does it apply to the Steven that continues on for the rest of the show? If that's the case, and that Steven didn't witness any of the events that happened in this episode, then none of this is canon, and none of this episode actually matters. That means we're done! If you want to see the new episodes a week in advance, you can subscribe. Joking aside, having that epiphany genuinely does make me care less about this episode overall. It's not the episode itself, it's time travel. I don't like time travel in almost any fiction when it's done like this. If we're skipping back and forth in time and leaving these timelines behind, why should I care? It's just exhausting. It's not the episode's fault. I mean, it kind of is. It chose to be a time travel episode.
What's going on? No time to explain. Want to join our band? Yes.
I actually really like this moment. No further questions, we're all the same person and we're starting a band. It's only logical. I like how the bass drum has a crystal gem star. Nice touch. I guess it could be a Mr. Universe star. Same thing though. Also, isn't hanging out on the warp pad, I don't know, dangerous? Isn't that the magical equivalent of playing on train tracks? One of the gems could warp in any second and smash drummer Steve into a red stain.
Me, myself, and I, and him. That's me. Are all the same guy.
Pachoo!
So do I. Me too. Me too. We all do. We're all Steven.
They needed to give these duplicate Stevens something visually distinguishing. They do it in the next scene, but by that point I think it's too late. They're all jumbled up and you can't really tell who's who. Plus the numbers on their faces aren't distinguishing enough at a quick glance. I'm skipping through this scene because it's so grating and ultimately pointless, but I'll play this line because it's another burned-in trailer line.
No way. We're all extremely attractive. Let's go get jobs as models. I can't believe it. I'm so annoying.
You know, I think we could all benefit with spending some time with a clone of ourselves and come to the exact same conclusion. I like to imagine that I would benefit from having two of me, but I doubt I'd last a day before I'd kill him. I mean myself. I mean he'd kill me. One of me would die by my hands. I mean... There it is, the worst song in this half of Season 1. For real this time. Someday I'm gonna do a song tier list, probably between seasons or something. I've had a few people specifically ask for that. This one is going straight to the bottom tier.
Wait, who's playing drums? Amethyst said she'd do it.
I'm down for whatever.
Best gem energy right there. No questions asked. She's playing drums with 3 other Stevens. Alright, the stools were there in a previous shot. Then they're gone. Then they're back again a few shots later. Also, Steven Prime unplugs this strip and it's still plugged in a later shot.
You'll never catch me, you turkeys!
I think we've already passed it, but at a certain point, this whole episode's writing just devolves into one-liners.
I'm okay, guys. I just... Too far back!
As much as I like this gag, the fact that the time thing can take him farther back than he actually had it opens a billion plot holes. Again, it's either not canon or fuel for that headcanon that I mentioned earlier. This scene is actually from a few episodes in the future where Lapis Lazuli drains the ocean. I don't like to talk about foreshadowing because 9 times out of 10 what people call foreshadowing is just a callback, but this is undeniable foreshadowing. So Steven Prime is the villain in this episode. He's got the villain laugh and everything. Him being the villain of his own show is crazy. It's not the last time either.
I have to end it!
This is absolutely not what would happen in this style of time travel. Yeah, I'm still whining about time travel making no sense. We just watched a whole episode of Steven traveling back in time and then interrupting his past self from going back in time with no consequences to the timeline. This scene is a new timeline as well. These Stevens are not from this timeline, so breaking the time thing here would do jack shit. I hate time travel, man.
The one with the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Haha, Garnet said 2. Now that's foreshadowing. This episode doesn't have a star wipe at the end. I think it's the first time that's happened. They usually omit it at the end of a really significant episode for the sake of impact, but significant is the last word I'd use to describe this episode. In fact, I remember enjoying this episode every time I watched it previously, including the full watch I do before I actually start editing these videos. I like it, it's fun, but the second I sat down to start working on it, it just got on my nerves more and more. I don't think this episode was written to be taken seriously or analyzed under a microscope. It's a fun episode, and I'll probably enjoy it again when I can watch it without being so critical. The other part of it is that I'm going stir crazy with these filler episodes. This one was filler, it was barely even canon, let's be honest. But coming up are 4 fucking fantastic episodes that I'm really looking forward to covering. When we're this close to the meat and potatoes of this show and an episode ends at a net 0, it starts to make me impatient. We're almost there though, we're finally getting to the really good stuff. And if you want to see new episodes a week in advance, you can subscribe to my Patreon for just a couple bucks. The link is in the description. Shoutouts to my journeyman patrons, Bingus Kid, Boomblorp, Emily, Fiore Army, Hey to Jiggerthurger, Raylin, Cinderant, Scala LD, Steven Wickers, and the Tamara. Also shoutouts to these apprentice patrons. Next episode is Monster Buddies. It's gonna be sick!